So first of all, it's a violation of Iraq's sovereignty for Iran to be attacking in our bill, and neither Kurdistan nor Iraq is at war and conflict with Iran. So these attacks are really under international unprovoked in their acts of aggression. Um, since Kurdistan is not a sovereign country, but Iraq is, Iraq could file a lawsuit and a complaint in the International Court of Justice against Iran, asking for, first of all, the immediate cease and desist of all attacks, and then, sue Iran for damages caused by these attacks. And I think they would have a pretty good case. Um, that's on the public side. On the private side, our law firm, we represent victims of international crimes, genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, etc., terrorism. And so individual Iraqis or Kurds who may have been injured by these attacks, um, there's no really forum for them to bring their individual claims unless they happen to be either U.S. citizens or they are a contractor for the United States government. The United States has a special law that strips Iran as a state sponsor of terrorism of immunity for lawsuits by Americans and by anyone working for the United States government. So in the al-Assad attacks or in other attacks, if there's any contractors or persons who work for the U.S. government, then our law firm would be able to bring lawsuits on their behalf in Washington, D.C., and we have a lot of success, and our clients have actually received significant damages, and that would include not just the person who's injured or killed, but all of his family members. That means spouse, parents, children, and his brothers and sisters. Right. That's exactly the point. But to have jurisdiction in the United States, they would either have to be one of the family members would either have to be a U.S. citizen or could just be an employee or a contractor working for any part of the U.S. government. And for instance, we have brought claims against Iran and the IRGC, and for over 1,000 citizens in Kenya and Tanzania for IRGC's and Iran's assistance in the attack on U.S. embassies, and not by U.S. citizens, but by the citizens of Kenya and Tanzania. And those citizens have already received several hundred millions of dollars in compensation. So it is possible to bring a claim, but only in the United States. A claim could theoretically be brought in Iraq, but I believe that under Iraqi law, it will be stricken because Iraq, unlike America, does not have a law that strips Iran of its sovereign immunity, so the case would be dismissed. And psychological damages is definitely something that is compensationable in U.S. courts. That's always the problem, and it's the problem with the on file. It's the problem with continuing thing that because Kurdistan is not yet its own independent nation, then these kinds of claims in international forums can only be brought by states. And so the state that the Kurds are living in is the Iraqi government, and if that government chooses not to protect or assist the Kurds, then from an international law perspective, they're stuck. Where they're not stuck is on the domestic level. And so that's why I suggest, for instance, in New York court, in Washington, D.C. federal courts, we've been successful in bringing these kinds of claims, but we need a connection to the U.S. government for someone who's injured, because America has enacted laws that give their citizens the right to sue any state sponsor of terrorism like Iran for damages caused to anybody that's either a citizen or an employee. There's a law that we proposed in 2013 to the Kurdish parliament to protect Kurds and give them rights to file lawsuits in Kurdish courts. But unfortunately, for 11 years now, the parliament has not even had one hearing about the law or advance that law. But had that law been passed, then there may have been some ways to sue those connected with the IRGC or Al Quds Force in Kurdish courts, but and banks and so on that help finance them, which is what we've done also in the United States. But unfortunately, the Kurdish parliament never considered the law that was proposed. Right. So first of all the relatives of anyone killed or also anyone injured all have legal claims. So it's possible. The question is, what court can those claims be brought? So as I've explained, anyone that's connected to the U.S. as an employer or this, we could bring those claims in America, and we have brought those claims in America. Those who are not U.S. citizens, let's say they're Dutch or English or so on, then there might be a possibility to bring such a claim in Holland or in the UK for the relatives of people who are those citizens. It's unclear. I am not exactly sure in terms of their local laws. Under international laws, I explained, international law is basically reserved for disputes between countries and not by individuals. So for damages claims, unfortunately, international law does not offer a forum or a court in which individuals can bring their claims. Thank Thank you, and my heart is always with the Kurdish people. So good luck.